نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So if this is the au revoir, based on these vicious rumors that are being spread around everywhere, that the hilal will be easy to spot this evening, so you need to be out there scouring the horizon, see if you spot that, and then like a vanishing act, 70 miles per hour up the M1. I'll be heading back to the blessed land of Bradford, inshallah. If not, looks like you have to stick with me for another day. Allah knows best. So as we get to the sort of close, and we tried this morning to kind of bring a lot of the conversations together that we've shared over the 9-10 days. But one of the things we have found, obviously, is that Allah SWT places lots of responsibilities upon us. He places lots of responsibilities upon us. He tells us when to pray. He tells us how to pray. He tells us to fast. He tells us to dress in a certain way. Lots of requirements. And if we look at this one particular ayah, which our esteemed colleague Hazrat Usman Damat Barakatuhum, the one and only, shared with us, whose darajah just increases day by day, and the more time you spend in his presence, the more you understand the secrets that he has. Are you going to delete that part? Press it on again. The ayat that he shared was A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna Allah ashtara min al-mu'minina anfusahum wa amwalahum bi anna lahumul jannah. It's very simple, very straightforward, and it's an interesting one. One is, Ishtira talks about buying, business. You know, I've had a few conversations with brothers. MashaAllah, there's a lot of businessmen in London. Yeah, shifting a couple of key here, shifting a couple of key here, and obviously £100,000, that's what I was on about. Yeah, this, that, you know, we talk about thousands and hundreds. You come here, people are talking about tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. So alhamdulillah, people like to do business. So Allah SWT has already done a business arrangement with us, something that we already accepted. The ayat says that indeed Allah has purchased from the believers. What has He purchased? Anfusahum wa amwalahum. He owns us and He owns our wealth. He owns us and He owns our wealth. When you own something, you decide what happens to that thing. Like, you know, you have a phone, you have a car, you have a house. These are our possessions that we, you know, gather over our lives. And we choose what we want to do with those possessions. We decide what we're going to do with the car, we decide what we're going to do with the phone. And similarly with our wealth, we decide how we're going to spend that wealth. If Allah SWT is telling us that He owns us and He owns our wealth, then we don't get to decide how we use ourselves. We don't get to decide how we use our wealth, because He owns it. Allah SWT has bought it from us. He's done a transaction, we agreed. So you might say, well, okay, what do we get in return? You know, we're all sharp businessmen here. We like to get a good deal. What deal do we get for giving ourselves and giving our wealth to Allah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بِأَنَّ لَهُمُ الْجَنَّةِ, that they will get Jannah. So if we use our body in the way Allah has commanded it, irrespective of what our body wants. You know, Fajr time, your body wants to go to sleep. Your body doesn't want to get up. It's tired. It wants to rest. It's worked all day. Your body wants to eat. Does not want to spend all day not eating, not drinking. So these are the bodily desires. And there's lots of other bodily desires that we will get inside of us that will want us to go this way or want us to go that way. These shahwats will come and we'll be tested by them. But we've agreed to this arrangement, we've agreed to this contract that we have already exchanged these bodies for what? For Jannah. Similarly, our wealth. You might want to use your money for this thing or for that thing. You may not want to use your money to build a well or feed the poor or build a masjid. You've got your own issues. You've got children that are growing up. They're going to need financial support. You've got bills to pay. You don't know how long you're going to be working for. You've got to provide for a family. But yet you're being told, give 2.5% of your wealth in zakah, as zakah, give sadaqah, give lillah. Again, Allah SWT can tell us that. Why can He command us to do that? Because He has exchanged our wealth for Jannah. So if we look at the mathematical construct in another way, then if you don't want Jannah, then do with your body and do with your wealth as you please. You become the Malik. If you say, no, you know what, I don't want Jannah, so that I can do with my body and with my wealth as I please, what I desire. Or the other way around is one should not expect Jannah if they do with their body or they do with their wealth as they please. Why should they expect it? It's a simple formula. Allah has already bought that from us, so He owns it. So He is at will to tell us how we should use it, how we should spend it. So if He tells you, this is how you pray, this is what you eat, this is the manner that you eat, you can purchase this, you can't purchase this, you can dress like this, you can't dress like that, you have to keep this facial hair, you have to remove this body hair, all these instructions were given. You cannot have intimacy in this way, you have to have intimacy in this way. All these details He gives us. All these rules He gives us. But what are we getting in exchange? Jannah. We are getting Jannah. We've spent, alhamdulillah, this month, some fortunate souls spent the last, coming up to 9 days now, in His house, dedicating their time to worshipping Him. They've given their time. Many brothers have given their wealth. So they've given their anfus, themselves. Oh Allah, I'm going to give you myself for the 9 days. I'm going to be solely worshipping You. I'm not going to be dedicating to be doing business. I'm not going to be looking after myself. I'm not going to be talking to my friends outside. I'm not going to be doing any of these things. I'm going to sacrifice all that and I'm going to give myself to You in Your path. And as we've seen, brothers have stood here every night, every daytime asking, and alhamdulillah, every single one of you dug deep into your pockets and gave. Whether it was zakah, whether it was sadaqah, whether it was lillah. You understood this transaction, this business deal you made with Allah. And you fulfilled that. You made sure that your side of the transaction was done. So that you can be confident, inshaAllah, that Allah SWT will fulfill His side of the transaction and give Jannah in return. And as we potentially, we are a hilal away from Eid, it's always important that when you go through a nice regime that we've been through for 29 days or 30 days or whatever it's going to be, where not only did we give up the haram, we gave up the halal. Not only did we give up the haram, we gave up the halal. We gave up food. Food is halal. Not only did we offer our fard prayers, we offered our sunnah muakkada for hours. We recited the Quran. We tried to understand our deen a little bit better, so that there's more feeling behind our actions. There's more understanding behind our actions. So that as we come out of this, fight camp, boot camp, call it what you like, where we're isolated away, shayateen have been locked up, we've been isolated, all we've been focusing on is spiritual reformation, all we've been focusing on is connecting with Allah, but that's going to change in potentially a day's time or 2 days' time. Normality is going to sink in. And the heart has been softened over these 29 days. Little things will get us upset. We hear a verse of the Quran, it brings tears to our eyes. We see Jannah as though it is only a arm's length away. And if we reached out, we could grab a tree out of Jannah. That's how close we are. But then we get caught up into the harshness of reality again. The heart starts to harden again. And then that very branch which was so close now seems so far away. And in fact, we're feeling the heat of Jahannam again. And then we're praying for another Ramadan. Praying that, oh, when will Ramadan come? And we're going to wait 10 months, 11 months for that Ramadan to come. And we know that Ramadan is a month and 11 months are non-Ramadan. So the chances that we're going to pass away outside of Ramadan, just, from a statistical perspective, there's more chance of dying outside of Ramadan than there is of dying in Ramadan for obvious reasons. So will we get to that next Ramadan where we're in this heightened spiritual state, where we're ready to go, where we think, alhamdulillah, I think I've had a good stint. I think I've done well. I think it's been a good month. I finished, alhamdulillah, 1 Khatm al-Quran or 2 Khatm al-Qurans or 3 or 5. I've prayed every Salah bil Jama'ah. I've called every Takbir Ula. I've spent hours in the masjid. That scholar was absolutely fantastic. I learned so much from him. I'm going to go now and start implementing this. No, if we can go with that kind of feeling, on that high, we have to find a structure to maintain that. Now, obviously, this was a bit of a sprint. We can't keep a sprint going for 11 months. We'll burn out. That's a reality. But we still need to maintain it for that very statistical reason that 11 months are not Ramadan. Only 1 month is Ramadan. And we talked, I think, 3-4 sessions back about making a schedule, about making a plan. And we talked maybe 3-4 sessions back before that about the environment that we're in. And how sometimes the people that we surround ourselves by aren't helping us to break out of this situation that we're in, but in reality they're reaffirming that situation that we're in. So in order to change, we need to move out of that situation that we're in. Because it's difficult to change when everybody around you is doing those kind of things. Because we always use that same excuse, don't we? Everybody's doing it. The last thing the lemmings said when they fell off the edge of the cliff, everybody's doing it. And we've got to make sure that those steps we can take now. Because we are at our strongest spiritually right now. We are at our strongest. So if any decisions need to be made, they need to be made now. No, I'll sort that out next week. I'll sort that out the week after, whatever. Because as soon as you say that, that's just Shaitan's trick to kick the can further down the road, and he's going to take you down when you're weaker. It's as simple as that. He knows you're too much of a tough opponent now. He knows that he's spiritually too strong. I can't wrestle him. So all I'll do is I'll put this idea in him. Delay, yaar, what's the rush? Alhamdulillah, you're such a buzurg. Look how much stuff you did. It's Eid as well. Eid, Allah has permitted you to celebrate it. Don't act like a big Sufi now. Eid is only 2-3 days, 4-5 days, 7-8 days. After that, you can get back to it. And when you get back to it, you'll be the same as you were now. Watch. And that's it. We listen to him when he makes that deal with us, but we don't listen to Allah when he makes that deal with us. So we have to make that system, that post-Ramadan, I need that schedule, I need this there so that I move forward. So inshallah, whenever it comes, because as we know, we're getting closer and closer to that death. We're not getting further and further away. And a person gets only one chance of death. There's no return from that. Once it happens, it's done. It's over. Then everything comes flooded. Then everything, these swalat are going to come now. Now that bridge that I got talked about. Now the resurrection and the fountain. And now obviously the darkness. And then crossing over the bridge. And then seeing the pans and the scales. Everything now a person is realizing. But you can't do anything about it now. You're just now part in the whole shuffle, in the queue, just going through the motions. And you can plead now. You can beg now. It's of no use. It's of no use. That time is now. That time is now. It's too late then. You know, many of the time when we look at opportunities, again, let's give it from a business perspective since that's what we're talking about. How many times you want to kick yourself when some brother approaches you for a deal and you get a little bit hesitant, looks too good to be true, next man takes it, and then 5 months later you find out that that property doubled in price and you're kicking yourself like, yeah, you know, I had that chance, I didn't take it, whatever, and you have regret. But it doesn't matter because some other deal's going to come, some other opportunity is going to come, some other situation is going to come, you're still alive. But when a person dies, there's no coming back from that. It's not like, oh, you know, I'm going to go sort it out now. What are you going to sort out now? Where are you going to go? And the word barzakh, where we go, means barrier. That's what the word means, barzakh, a barrier. Barrier for what? Barrier means there's no return. There's only one-way traffic. There's only one-way traffic. There's no return. There's no going back. You are now on the conveyor belt and just going to move from one situation to the next. One situation to the next. So we've got to keep reminding ourselves before our nafs kicks in, our shahawat kicks in, our ego kicks in, where we think we should do what pleases us. We should do what we need. And remember that this transaction that we made with Allah is that Allah subhanahu has already purchased from us ourselves and our mal in exchange for Jannah. That's the deal. So if we don't give our nafs, if we don't give our mal, then we shouldn't be confused or expectant of Jannah, because we did not fulfill our side of the transaction. Not that Allah has not fulfilled his side of the transaction. So may Allah continue to give us strength that we can carry on the work that we do. It was also nice listening to brothers, mashallah, who are doing khidmats in different parts of the world, doing work of khair in different ways, whether it's philanthropical, whether it's educational. You know, get involved in something. Have a project that you're part of. Because when you're part of that kind of community, when you're part of that project, it keeps you going along. The thing that we miss probably more than most now is suhbah. Suhbah means being in the company of pious people, being in the company of people who are thinking in a certain way. And what happens is that rubs off onto us. And we get motivated, we get inspired by them, we aspire to be like them. And that suhbah is something that misses, because we go back to the 9 to 5, yeah, we go back to the grind, and that's it. Now the suhbah is gone, and we try to get a little bit of it after a salah or something, and it's gone. But if you're part of a project, working under somebody, working with somebody, then there's a community. And when you're part of that community, once you start sort of lagging behind a little bit, then what they can do is they can sort of pull you back up. Come on, brother, you're going to need to step up a little bit. You need to move along a little bit. So think of that now. You know, we've got whatever remains, potentially an hour or whatever it is of Ramadan. Apply some thought now. Ask him for assistance. Ask him for help. Ask him for guidance. Ask him to connect you with those type of people. And then make some real plans after. After obviously you've had a few kebabs and samosas tomorrow. I'll give you a ijazah for that. Or the day after. Whew, nearly slipped into that one, didn't I? Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. One we don't know, you see. It could